Hey, folks. All right. Part 9 is coming up right here of my 9-part article. It's all one article on my blog, brucecampaign.org. The article title is called Redefining Sex? No Thanks. And if you haven't heard the other 8 parts, you should probably listen to them. It kind of makes more sense in order. They kind of stand alone too, so this is the conclusion. In conclusion, my positions come from a full acceptance of there being a binary sex and that their corresponding genders are what they are. It's as apparent as the law of gravity. I am often repetitive in this article, and yet I didn't go much into why sex is binary. What seems to occur is that many people feel pressured in an inundation of arguments against asexual binary to just cave in to the idea that there must be a tiny sliver of truth in that it's not a sexual binary. That in the rarest of cases, a sexual binary doesn't hold true for humans, such as in the example of what is called intersex, or the tales of the hermaphrodite. This is false. Intersex is not a sex, it is a disorder of sex development. The goal of cracking open people to accepting that the sexual binary is false in the rarest of cases pushes logically towards the accepting of everything, which is the fraud of it all. The challenge remains to those who think otherwise to prove that gender is not a binary. Not for me to defend this eons old position. To the degree that gender is a social construct, they should be considered overwhelmingly overlapping with one another, equal under law and respective of culture, religious, and social groupings. That means that a woman or a man under law could take on the roles, duties, and appearances that may be found to be the majority purview of the opposite gender. According to the gender constructs of their social, cultural, and religious groupings, they may tend towards specific duties, but shouldn't be limited to them. I haven't explored yin yang as it historically relates to male and female, but I appreciate that the symbol and its balancing and the sides seem to flow and share a part of one another. The core considerations of gender fluidity, gender non-conforming, and trans can be understood better without those fictional constructs. Those fictional constructs are in themselves a reaction to, but also supporting of hierarchical and stereotypical constructs of gender. How would they be necessary in a world where gender has basically no delineated roles outside of giving birth, where there isn't a gender hierarchy and gendered stereotypes are fought against? Uh, by creating these fictional gender change notions, the fight against a gender hierarchy, the fight against gender stereotypes, and the fight against rigid gender roles becomes much reduced. We are seeing this happening in youth, where the stereotypes of women and men are much more considered and much broader now, and young girls especially are hurt. It is much more empowering to be part of supporting the position of sex-based legal rights, framed around protection of women and children while supporting the work of reproduction and childbearing. That gender should not be viewed as a hierarchy, that gender roles are rather understood as a tendency, not an obligation. That a woman and a man can engage in life in the way they want, in the gender they are. To engage as a woman in a typically male role empowers all women and broadens the role models of young girls. To engage as a man in a typically female role empowers all men and broadens the role models of young boys. This fights sexism, patriarchy, and stereotypes. That person's sexual orientation, their attraction, whether it be to the opposite sex, their own sex, or both, is knowable only by individuals' feelings, This is obviously true. We can see this in ourselves where our attraction lies. It's notable that someone who is heterosexual in all cases doesn't necessarily find all people of the opposite sex attractive. Same is true of people who are same sex attracted. We can know what our sexual orientation is by our feelings. We cannot know what our gender is by our feelings because there is no feeling of a gender that anyone can know. Accepting that people may be attracted to the same sex or both sexes as natural should be taught, and the law should protect those people from discrimination. Finally, sexual cultures are the category that trans best fit. All sexual cultures, even the larger tendencies, like the sexual culture of Christian monogamy, are subjected to rules. These rules basically are about age restrictions, protections of individual rights, public decency, indecency, um, commodification, safety, advertising, and other things. And in the privacy of one's own home, consenting adults should face no restrictions. Look, I am against any rules that go against the idea that consenting adults should be able to love whom they want to love in the way that they want to love. Trans viewed as a sexual community makes sense. Thanks, everybody. So that was my article. You can read it or share it if you want. It's brucecampaign.org. It's called Redefining Sex? No thanks. That was part 9. There's 8 other parts above it. I'll probably put some links in there. I'm not sure I've done a lot of this. So thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, great. Please share it or send me feedback. I basically don't expect a lot of people to hear it, but I wanted to put it out there. All right.